hope and daven that this finds you well and safe. And we continue to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for everybody who's been impacted in some way. Some the loneliness, others the financial impact. Some are concerned and worried about illness, others unfortunately experiencing illness. And of course, for those mourning a loss of family or friends, we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to grant a Yeshua, God willing, to us and all of mankind, and may it be soon, speedily, and complete. It's interesting that when we stopped being able to come into shul to daven together, just a little bit after Purim, we spoke about Pesach. And there were hopes at first that Pesach, perhaps Yizkor, we'd be back in shul for the end of Pesach. And now here we are on Erev Shavuos, the eve of the Yom Tif of Shavous, once again discussing and planning how we'll daven at home, how we'll learn Torah at home, how we'll say Yizkor at home. But it's important to remember that yes, there's a communal aspect to Yizkor, and it's always important and supportive to get together, but that the main aspect of the Yizkor is the remembrance of the neshamas, the mitzvahs that we do to elevate the neshamas, and the tzedakah that we give, as mentioned in the Yizkor, as a key component of that time of year, of that tefillah. However, on a good note, V'ani berov chazdecha v'oveisecha, eshtacha ve'el heichal kadshecha. It's through Hashem's abundant kindness I will enter your house. David HaMelech, the beginning of Sefer Tehillim, Capital Hey, tells us, V'ani berov chazdecha v'oveisecha. It's through Hashem's abundant kindness that we are happy to announce, God willing, plans of being back in shul, of coming back together to daven, beginning next Thursday, June 4th, for Shavous. And of course, appropriate social distancing, masks, and all the guidelines will be in place, will be in line with current law, the OU guidelines, and other local shuls. Good news, something to Bez Hashem plan for, something to Bez Hashem look forward to, and hopefully everybody that's able to, their health allows them, they feel comfortable enough coming, their age bracket allows them, will be able to see each other in person, davening once again in our very special shul. And it's interesting that although we haven't been able to meet in shul in person, nor hold minyanim, we've never really closed. I just want to take a moment of your time and give a little synopsis of what we've done as a shul while we couldn't physically gather together for minyanim, for shiurim, for camaraderie, for socializing in our beloved, beautiful shul. We met via Zoom every single night for Tehillim, for Divrei Torah, for catching up one with each other. We learned to daf over the phone every morning. We had 3 seasonal shiurim with beautiful participation, and pre-Shabbos ruach every Shabbos, for Torah for Shabbos, and singing. We had our beloved Yom Neroim, Chazan, join us for Havdalah one might say Shabbos. And by the time this is being viewed, we would have participated or partnered with 2 national programs. We partnered with the Orthodox Union for our Yom Yerushalayim program, a beautiful opportunity to have been part of that. And then, the time of this filming, it's this evening. By the time you view this, it already would have been. We've been part of the Yeshiva University Yarchei Kala, where 50 shuls across the United States of America, with just 2 in Brooklyn, ours and one other, had the opportunity to participate as the opening session in what's almost a full night or a half night of learning and preparation of Shavuos, but allowing the shuls to start off their program. And that was a great honor to be able to be invited to participate in that, and God willing, at time of this filming, that will be taking place this Wednesday night, which is Erev Shavuos. So again, thank God, although not being able to be together for minyanim, but there was this feeling of friendship, togetherness, that we were able to maintain in our shul. One other thing that strikes me is that, well, up to 3 months ago, we thought it was a right that we had. It's becoming to us. We're entitled to come to shul. We're entitled to daven with a minyan. It's coming to us. It's ours. We have that right. We learned very quickly that it's a privilege. That it's a privilege to be able to daven in shul. That it's not something to be taken for granted. It's not an entitlement, but rather a privilege. And when we expand upon this, we come to recognize that it's a privilege to have such a shul, such as ours. It's a privilege to have a shul approaching its centennial, a beautiful shul not only in its physical space, but also in the people that occupy the shul. A shul where people care deeply one for another, a shul where people want to be back together, a shul where there's a friendship, in a shul where we can only hope and pray that Hashem should bestow upon us the health and well-being to be able to once again be back in the shul as we plan for this coming Thursday and to daven together. 3,332 years ago, we stood around Mount Sinai, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah, so aptly referred to as Eitz Chaim, the living Torah. Eitz Chaim, the tree of life. Eitz Chaim, the namesake of our shul. And as the commentaries explain so eloquently, described by Rabbi Majeski, Eitz Chaim, a living Torah, also the branch of life, which means that as a person, metaphorically, is rushing down the river, flying, not able to control themselves, but there's a branch sticking out they can hold on to. That branch is what they hold on to for dear life, and that branch saves them. And that's what the Torah represents to us. Eitz Chaim. It's the branch of life. It's the ability to hold on to something. It's the ability to grasp onto something. And that's really the name of our shul as well. A time to come together, a time to grasp onto our shul, a time to grasp onto the Torah and Tefillah that's represented by our shul, a time to recognize Eitz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba. It's a branch of life, a tree of life, to those that hold on to it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should, God willing, grant that it should be a Yom Tif of happiness, a Yom Tif of joy, a Yom Tif of celebration, a Yom Tif of a renewed commitment and dedication to Torah study and its values. A Yom Tif where we could, Be'ez Hashem, look forward not to being back in shul for the Yom Tif, unfortunately not, but to being back in shul immediately after the Yom Tif, just a few days after that, and once again be able to come together. Of course, it's going to be a slow opening, but hopefully being able to gradually be back to seeing everybody in person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should grant that just as the Yom Tif brings with it a time of happiness, let our lives once again be infused with a happiness, with a dedication to our HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah, to the Eitz Chaim hi l'machazikim ba. Thank you.
Good Yom Tov. Once again, many of us aren't able to come to shul for Yom Tov. For the second Yom Tov in a row, shuls across the world have made a decision collectively that it's important to put pikuach nefesh, the safety of our community, ahead of everything. Important decisions were made in every shul, in every community center, in every yeshiva, for the right reasons. A few months ago, right after Purim, we were faced with that difficult question of whether we should close our doors. It was a Shabbos right after Purim, and right before Shavous, about 2.5 hours before Shabbos actually, I got a phone call from a rabbi asking whether or not he felt it was safe to open. This was incredibly difficult for a lot of people to contemplate. It's never been a case in anyone's memory where a shul closed. Shuls never close voluntarily. That doesn't happen. It's unheard of. Yet here we are contemplating something that, as a Jewish people, we've never really had to contemplate before. We had to decide whether or not it was worth opening up the shul and potentially infringing the safety and well-being of the people that come to it. For exactly 2 hours before Shabbos, I was on the phone with the rabbi and with dozens of members of the shul. And that difficult question, which many shuls were facing, had to be made. It was decided that we would remain open. We took precautions, and we made sure that certain things were done in certain ways so that we would make sure that everyone was safe. And I don't regret that decision. I feel that many people in the shul probably feel the same way. But unfortunately, as many shuls did, we were forced to close actually the day after, on Sunday. And ever since, the shul has been closed, as every shul has been. Yet, we're still together. And that is a testament to what Eitz Chaim really is about. See, Eitz Chaim, at the end of the day, has always been and has proven during these trying times that we're not just a building. We're not just a shul. We're not even just a community. We're a family. Over the last few months, we've been on virtual shiurim, conversations over Zoom, where we've connected and bonded, as we always have. Everyone always together, talking, schmoozing, discussing the trajectory of our lives and of the shul, and being generally concerned with the well-being of one another. But that's why Eitz Chaim is a genuinely amazing place, because it's not your average shul. And anybody that comes here, whether they're a critic or they love the place, will always admit that this shul is not an average shul. And it's something we should be proud of. See, Eitz Chaim is a place where everybody knows everybody, where everybody cares about everybody, whether you might be alone or have a beautiful large family. Everybody's together. And in a time where we all might feel alone, in Eitz Chaim, whether it might be physically or in this case not physically, we're together. As we approach Yizkor, we are once again finding ourselves alone, at home saying it alone. But that doesn't mean that they can't be remembered, that your loved ones who may no longer be with us today can't be commemorated. By giving contribution to the shul for Yizkor, you're not only commemorating your loved ones, but you're thanking them. You're thanking them for continuing and being the matriarchs and patriarchs who got you and continue to make sure that your spiritual and religiosity is maintained. They're the reason why, as a shul and as a people, we can continue being here. Why we've been able to sustain our religion for so long, through so much. If there's ever a way to properly thank them, properly remember them, it's by contributing to the shul for Yizkor. So I ask you, even though we might not physically be in the same room, to consider, as you always have, making that contribution in their memory and thanking them for everything that they sacrifice to ensure that we can be here today. With that being said, I hope everyone is well and safe. I wish everybody a healthy and happy Shavuos and a good Yom Tov.